Hello, my name is Dr. Alethia Tucker, and I'm very happy to be with you for the Leaders Live Generously Summit. Thank you so much, Dr. Pastor Anthony Shannon, for inviting me. I'm happy to come and to share with you a little about what is needed when you reinvent in order to lead like a leader. What is needed when you reinvent in order to lead like a leader? Specifically, my presentation is reinventing to lead with excellence. One of my favorite mentors and someone that I get so much wisdom from, who has passed on, Dr. Miles Monroe. And he said that mediocrity is a region that is bordered on the north by compromise, on the south by indecision, on the east by past thinking, on the west by a lack of vision, and most people live in this territory. That is a very stuck place to be. And when I talk about reinventing, I talk about getting out of the stuck place. Now, it's not difficult to see that living here surely is a place of total confusion, right? In that land of mediocrity, as I call it. It's an area where you don't know whether you're going forward or backwards, progressing or sitting stagnant, reaching your goals or you're just pacing time. It's a rough place to sit in. And it's one in which you really don't pursue your purpose. You don't really pursue your heart. You don't go after the things that will allow you to lead and to be a leader with the potential that you already have existing. So, my challenge to you is to think about why you're doing this, if you are, and how is it that you can come out of that mediocre place and get to the land of thriving, as I like to see it. Now, something that you need to do right off is number one, give yourself permission to move from here if you are currently in this position. How many of us just don't move because we feel that we don't have the right to, or we don't have anyone giving us permission to move? Where you are is not maximizing your energy, and it is certainly not maximizing what it is you're capable of accomplishing and where it is you can go. So I challenge you right here, right now, if you are living in that land where mediocrity seems to be just hovering and taking over, this is your opportunity to get out of there. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So first of all, I want to tell you a little more about myself. I am a coach, and I'm dedicated to helping my clients identify their personal goals, develop leadership skills, and navigate their career decisions. I work a lot with women in what I like to call the middle years, where we're trying to decide what is it that we want to do now. The entire terrain may look different. We may have children who have come out of school. We may be approaching retirement or already retired. We may be taking care of older people in our family. What does that terrain look like, and how do you navigate it? I'm frequently in that space, and that's why reinvention is so prevalent in what I do. I have 20 years working in consulting and training and in the HR industry. I'm a speaker, an artisan. I love designing jewelry, and an Amazon bestseller as well as a publisher. So what we'll discuss today in talking about reinventing to be the leader that you have within you, to be that leader, to maximize that potential that you may have been just sitting on or has been sitting dormant. We'll talk about how to get out of that space. We'll talk about how to get out of it, how to keep moving through it, and how to make life different, make it different and better. So we'll discuss some things such as doing an assessment. We'll talk about how mindset and habits play into getting you to that leadership space. We'll talk about the source that you're working from, the boundaries and the networks. We'll talk about, most importantly, that reset, the reset that needs to happen in order to move and to make a difference. So, change. When you think about change, let me just ask you a simple but powerful question. And you see here, I have the definition of some things that you move or alters so much that it appears to be entirely different. What would your life look like if you could fully step into excellence? Think about that for a minute in your career and what it is that you do with your relationships and even with your health. As a reinvention strategist, I've worked, like I said, with just countless people who find themselves at a crossroad. And reinvention is really the only solution they have in order to make the change that is necessary. And it's not really about becoming someone new as much as it is about uncovering the best version of who you already are and aligning every part of your life to reflect that truth. Today, I'm going to show you how reinvention is key to leading in excellence, not just for others, but for yourself, of course. Excellence isn't perfection. Let's set that straight right away. It's not perfection because for many of us, pursuing that perfection is why have not been leading in excellence up until this point. I'm going to share with you 5 powerful ways that you need to reinvent to lead with excellence, starting with what's inside of you and radiating outward to every area of your life. Now, let's go ahead and explore how we can begin this and how we can move. Let's talk about why you're even reinventing. People do it for many reasons: to feel better about themselves, to correct things that aren't so right, they don't like, they realize that they've been dealing with for quite some time, and they want to be free of them. They want to be free, and they want it to look different. Sometimes people make changes, and in the process, realize that you're really worthy of pursuing what's right for you. People change for that reason, for that realization. Some people change to embrace an idea that is really resonating with them. The first thing you need to realize is that there is no set in stone formula for reinventing. A huge piece of it involves knowing the right process for you, identifying the key components that need to happen in order to reinvent, and then going through whatever is needed, going through the process, going through the analysis of how it is that you get those things in place. Some people reinvent because it's reactive. You know, they have no choice. They respond to life change. Sometimes it's proactive. They see things coming down the road and they want to make sure that they take care of making changes before whatever is coming impacts them. Some people reinvent to get away. Many of us do, because they're really tired of being in that same space. And then there are others who reinvent because they want to go towards something. Many of us do that as well, to fulfill a passion, to go after that dream finally that perhaps has been sitting on the back burner. So much of it involves mindset, and we'll talk about that just a bit. I'm going to start by telling you one of my reinvention stories that is really a perfect example of how mindset plays an incredible role. I have 2 children. My youngest, when I was pregnant with him, we discovered that he had a condition, or he had something going on that was referred to as a hormonal translocation. Now, when the doctors originally told us about that, we had no idea what that would mean. After they did more tests, they said, well, we're not certain what this means for him, but we do know that there is a very likely chance that there will either be a physical or some type of mental alteration that will be in existence when he is born. The stress of having to figure out what it is, what challenge we were going to face once he arrived. Well, the pregnancy was difficult, but he arrived in October of the year 2000. And we looked at him and immediately thanked God for this beautiful bouncing baby boy that he gave to us. We saw 10 toes, we saw 10 fingers, and we looked at him and it seemed as though there was absolutely nothing wrong. The doctors had gotten it wrong. He was perfectly fine. We brought our baby home and we went through life and all of the changes that you have to go through as you maneuver bringing a new person into your household and into your life. And it was after some months that we noticed, there's some developmental things going on there that don't quite seem to be aligned with where statistics and where the doctors indicate he should be at this age level. So, yeah, it was soon after that that we discovered that this hormonal translocation really did relate to something that may have affected how he processes things and how he learns and how he may go about life, how he may figure things out. So then our job was to figure out, well, how is it that we help him to navigate life? What tools is it that he's going to need in order to be able to process to the best of his ability? As time went on, we had to make decisions about schools. We had to make decisions about aftercare. We had to make decisions about how it is that we handled just the basic things, the feeding and how we communicated with him, because all of that was key in helping him to be able to understand at the absolute best of his ability and helping us to understand what it is that he needed from us and how we could communicate with him. We kept him in mainstream school and academics were a real challenge, especially early on. He didn't talk until much later in life. So there was that communication barrier. But I distinctly remember us trying to decide, what should we do? Is mainstream for him? And I remember for 5 years consistently, the first 5 years of his life, every year at the end of the year, we went in to see the teacher, kind of holding our breath, thinking, are they going to tell us that they can't really keep him in mainstream? He needs to go elsewhere. And each year, the teachers would say to us, I don't know what it is about this young man. We don't teach him in the regular way. We have to alter things just a bit, but he brings so much out of us. He really takes us to a new level, and he's got so much to offer. Each year, the teachers would say he has so much to offer. We would hold our breaths each year trying to figure out what was next. So as we progressed and as he got to the older years, he decided he was going to start doing things his way. And boy, were things stressful. They didn't always work. Sometimes they did. Frequently, they didn't. And we really had a struggle with him, but somehow he always managed to make it through. So by the time we got to high school with him doing things his way, we realized one thing. It was not about how it was that he learned, but he learned in the best way that was appropriate for him. We spent many years, many months, many long hours worrying and trying to determine what it was that we needed to do. But the one concept that we heard every year, the one thought that was left with us is that this young man has so much to offer. There's so much more. Well, I'll have you to know that struggling through all of the processing deficits and all of the other challenges that we have, this young man has gone through. He has finished college and is now in the mainstream working. So what we learned from him is this. We had to adjust our mindset just as he had to adjust his mindset. We had to know that whatever he came up with was the best process for him. Thus, it had to be the best process for us because it was working. The state of your life is nothing more than a reflection of your state of mind. And here it is. In this picture often brings a smile on my face. It's him telling his father in the middle of a losing game, "It doesn't matter, Dad. What's most important is we're having fun." I don't think my husband nor the coaches saw it that way. But it's just another example. From a very young age, he knew that it was important for him to think things through in the way that he needed to, and he knew what was best for him. We had to adapt. The same thing needs to happen to you when you're reinventing. Know that no particular process is the best unless it's the process that works best for you. It's important. So now let's talk framework. The world awaits you on the other side of that door that you've been kind of holding shut, right? For quite some time. Let's go in to see what's possible. Let's set the framework. Mindset we've talked about. Framework, you want to determine exactly where are you? Where are you in the process? I already mentioned that there are a number of reasons why you may want to change. Why is that? Determine where you are and what needs to change. I challenge you, identify 5 things that you want to change. Figure out how they would look and commit to changing just one of them right now, even as we speak, even as you're sitting in the middle of this conference. Identify that one thing that you know, if you change, will make a major impact on your life. And then work on making some small piece of that change occur. Because you know what? In addition to having the right mindset, understanding where you are, making a move and determining just a little of where you can be, just seeing a glimpse of it, is often what's needed to move you forward. So start there. Make a small change and know that it's possible in order for you to get to the bigger place that you really want to be. So exactly what are you doing here? What are you doing here? When you're doing your assessment, that's a part of it as well. What purpose is it that you are trying to fulfill? Purpose, as I've stated here, is when you know and understand what you were born to accomplish. Vision is when you see it in your mind and begin to imagine it. And that's a quote by the late Dr. Miles Monroe as well. It is so important for you to have the mindset, number one, to reinvent, to be able to assess where you are, begin something, and to understand why it is, what is the catalyst behind what you want to do, how you want to be, and what you want to see. And purpose is it. Vision is critical. So make sure that you understand that and you do the necessary things around finding what that may be. You were born to share your gifts and your talents with the world. I want you to know that right now. It is truly my belief that we landed on this planet and we were given gifts and talents to share to make the world a better place. Now, when I say we landed on this planet, you know, I don't think that we just got here. I know how we got here. And I truly believe that we are meant to proclaim the goodness and to share what it is that we've gathered, what it is that we know, so that we can help all of those around us. I say this because so many people hold back, for example, on making a career change because they're afraid that they won't be able to carry it out. They don't see their gifts and talents. They don't know what they're capable of, not just career change, but personal life changes. So it's important for you to realize that you are here to share those gifts and talents. You have them, and you need to understand what they are. Know that you have amazing things that are a part of your DNA, that are only a part of you, and only you can make steps to bring them out, and only what you have is capable or is needed to make impact on so many things. So, how do you connect to figure out what these gifts and talents are? I have a free resource that says, let's start to talk about purpose, and you can find that on my website. I'll give you information. But there are some things even outside of the resources that I have available, resources that you can pursue on your own. You can do research, find out what it is that you're interested in and do some research on that. What are other people doing who have your interests, who have the passions that you have? How might you be able to do some of those things yourself? How might they look if you were to change them up a bit and make them your own? Volunteer perhaps for some things that you're interested in. What better way to find out all the intricacies that are involved in a process, that are involved in development, in writing, in being a designer, whatever it is? What better way to find out other than placing yourself in a position where you can volunteer for areas in which that function or that thing that you want to know more about is being done? Sit up under a mentor who has perfected it so that they can mentor you and help you to find out again what it is that needs to be done. There's so many ways in which you can identify those talents, act on them, and know for a fact that you can have them buying into your purpose and your passion, that you can use them in making that better place, in reinventing to do and to be what it is that you want to do and be. All right, so we've talked mindset. I've talked to you about a major mindset shift that happened in my life, and I'm sure you can identify with one as well. Think of that as you move forward and you're doing your assessment and you're figuring out what your gifts and your talents are. Something else that is incredibly important is analysis. Reinvention takes place at the core, and I call the core your heart. It's all about the heart. So we're continuing to build this framework, right? We've already talked about how assessment is a part of the framework, and now we're on analysis. So in order for reinvention to take place, your heart has to be staged properly. What you have in your heart really does determine your propensity for change. Reinvention is not going to happen if your heart is not set properly. So let's talk about this a little more. In order for it to take place, your heart has to be in a healthy place and not in an unhealthy place. Now, there are some unhealthy things that can occur in the heart that you don't have a whole lot of control over. But I bring them up here so that you can know that they're unhealthy and you can see the other side of what healthy is and you can pursue that healthy side. So it's hard to reinvent when you're in a broken place, when you're fearful and you don't want to take a chance, when you feel hopeless. It's hard to reinvent when you're angry or numb. It's hard to reinvent when you're trying to navigate land, right? And it's stony. It's hard to navigate when you're going across stones, when you're doubtful, and when you're faithless. The healthy side of the heart is, and one that is just fertile for reinvention, is a receptive one that's hopeful, faithful, grateful, confident, prayerful, fallow, and fearless. All things that you want to make sure that you incorporate, that you pull into your framework so that the structure from which you're trying to build that reinvention is in place and you can make the change that is necessary. You can't operate in fear. You can't continue to feel as though you have no hope, but to sit in what's comfortable. You've got to remove yourself from that comfort zone and get uncomfortable so that you can get to the place where you are excelling and exceeding and prospering and thriving. What else is a part of that framework? Power. You've got to realize that you've got the power, because why? That is your source. You do the assessment, you do the analysis, you figure out what your platform looks like for which you're reinventing from, and then realize you've got the power to do it. Who is getting your energy, however, and moving that power away from you? Because that could be exactly why you have not been able to reinvent, to be the leader that you need to be. The toxicity that evolves and that results as a part of people zapping your energy can not only make the situation toxic, but it can be so toxic that you cannot move until things are cleared out so that you can see your way to move in the reinvented space. So what are some things that could really be absolutely energy zappers? Situations, behaviors, clutter. I don't know about you, but I can't function in a cluttered environment. I can't think clearly. I get foggy. You would be amazed at what really does zap your energy. So I challenge you to sit down and write down what your energy zappers are. Some things could be mindset issues like unresolved guilt, or eating habits could be holding you back. Being undecided, not able to make decisions could be zapping your power. Somebody who is in your life and not being encouraging to you can zap your power. Relationships, boundaries, or the lack thereof can really zap your power. Sit down and write these things out and determine how it is you're going to get your power back. Because unless you can do that, you won't be able to move forward, and you won't be able to take advantage of that reinvented space that is trying to open up for you to thrive. You've got the power. You've got to figure out what it is that's zapping it. Get it removed so that you can operate full throttle. What else? What else is there that could be holding you back? Well, we've already talked about the source. We've talked about assessment. We've talked about analysis. We've talked about having the right mindset. We've talked about all of the things that are critical to making sure that you're getting yourself set to make the changes that need to be made. You have to change habits. You have to look at your boundaries, look at your networks. Who are you working with? Who do you have around you? Are they healthy networks? If not, then perhaps you need to make some changes. What about your vision and your mindset? All of those things are critical. So what else do you have to do? You have to hit that reset button. Once you've done the analysis, once you've done the assessment, once you have done the work that is needed to make the change, you need to make the change. You need to move forward. You need to figure out how it is you're going to adjust so that you can finally move in the direction that you need to move. What does a thriving, excellent life look like to you? Do what's necessary to reset, to get the mindset, to eliminate the things that may be deterring you from doing that. And it may not be something where you can work little by, or you can make broad strides, but you need to work little by little by little. It may require education, where you may need to go back and be educated to move in a position where you want to move. It may require you having to sacrifice in the evenings while you work full-time and pursue that part-time, or pursue part-time that vision of where you really want to be. It may mean that you have to change the people that you hang out with. It may mean that you have to pursue networks that are really moving in a space in which you would like to move, a space you would like to be. It may mean actually buckling down and staying up late on nights when you really want to retire early. It may mean sacrificing. It may mean finally realizing that you are capable of doing what is necessary. All of that is critical before you're going to be able to make that change and move in a direction that you're able to move. I frequently talk to my seniors who have worked for so many years on helping others, helping children to get out of school. They've worked on marriages. They've worked at their jobs. They've frequently put others even first on the job and are very content to sit behind the scenes and let others take credit. They have wanted forever to open bakeries. They have wanted forever to begin interior design. They've wanted to open their own engineering firm, but for so long have just sat back and have been working up this mountain, as I like to refer to it, where they're helping everyone else to get to the top. They're at a place now where they've really kind of maneuvered and helped all of those who have needed help. And now they're at this mountain and they're trying to decide what it is that they do. I heard this analysis one time when you get to the top of the mountain and sometimes it's foggy and you can't see anything whatsoever, but you know that over that mountain is the valley and you start all over again if you were to fall. So what is it that you do when you get to a point where you have to decide, I need to reinvent now. I need to do things differently. I'm ready to hit that button, but I'm scared and I don't know what that button may look like. I am here. I'm at the top of this mountain. I can't see any further. I know I don't want to go in the valley. What is it that I do? Well, often what we don't see because it's foggy, because it's really not as clear as it could be, or as we desire for it to be. What we don't see is that in the distance, there is another mountain that we can get to if we just pursue it. We think that the only mountain that's available to us is this mountain that we've already climbed and it hasn't brought us all that we really want. We can use the lessons that we've learned in getting to the top of that mountain to help us to maneuver that other mountain that's over there. And we can maneuver it much faster and get there because everything that we've done up until this point is not lost. Nothing is lost. Everything is gained. Even if it is a horrible lesson that we've gained it. So don't feel that because you're here and you're ready to hit that reboot button, don't be afraid and don't think that you're going to fall in the valley. Keep your eyes fixed on that other mountain that's in the distance and work towards that. Finally, commit. It is incredibly important to commit. Commit to make the change that is necessary. You've set your framework, you have your source, you have done your reset now. You've got to commit. You've got to commit to do the work because in your committing is where the progress is really going to be made. You can have all of the other pieces of the framework in place, but if you don't commit to carrying that change out, there is absolutely no guarantee that you're going to be able to be successful in that reinvention. Commitment takes belief in yourself. Commitment takes belief in the process. Commitment takes belief that you can do and you can be what it is that you desire to do and be. So make that commitment to ensure that you're going to be able to finally get to that reinvented place. To get to that place where you are thriving and not one where you're sitting in that land of mediocrity. So there's several ways, many ways in which you need or you can commit, many ways in which you can be prompted and grounded in committing. A quote here by Marianne Williamson talks about how you must learn a new way to think before you can master a new way to be. So in that learning, there are tools for you, coaches and counselors. There's a support system. Make sure you have a good one. Self-help books, mentoring groups, podcasts, seminars, conferences, affirmations, things that you get up and tell yourself every day that are going to help reinforce the fact that you can reinvent. You can reinvent. You can be the leader that you desire to be. You just need to put in the work. Set up the framework. Ensure that your structure is solid and your mindset is being reinforced. You have the team around you that you need, and you have all that is required to help you to thrive. So that's it. How is it that you reinvent so that you can be the leader that you need to be and operate in excellence? You need to make sure that you set up your framework for success. You set up your framework, you pursue each stage, you maneuver through each stage, you keep hope that you can do it and move in the direction that you need to move. Something else I want to tell you about, if you need some support in ensuring that you can get to that reinvented space, I have an awesome program that I refer to as the Thrive Academy. It's a transformation program in particular for women. This program takes you through these steps that I have outlined here, as well as all of the intricate pieces that go into it, all of the tools that are necessary to even carry out these phases that I've just been talking about. I have proven time after time after time, by employing the concepts that I've just talked about, you can get out of the stuck place and you can thrive as a leader in all that you do. So again, my name is Alethia Tucker and I'm with Jolise Enterprises. Let's connect. Let's talk again. Let's talk about how we can help you to move from where you are. You can reach me info@joliseenterprises.com. I'm on Facebook at Alethia Tucker and Jolise Enterprises, Instagram, Alethia A. Tucker, and on LinkedIn at Coach Alethia Tucker. Each of us has the right and the responsibility to assess the road which lies ahead and those over which we have traveled. And if the future road looms ominous over unpromising and the roads back uninviting, then we need to gather our resolve and, carrying only the necessary baggage, step off that road into another direction. If the new choice is unpalatable, without embarrassment, we must be ready to change that as well. And that's a quote by the late Maya Angelou. Wouldn't take nothing for my journey now. It's been a pleasure to speak with you. Remember, you can reinvent. You can move into a place of excellence in leadership and in all that you do. Put the structure in place and pursue it.